are at the endless road, the main road between Jerusalem to Tel Aviv, that people just ran outside and ran for their lives. See this car, see what happened. Those heroes who managed to escape survived. We are searching right now.
What you're seeing now was shared by one of the eyewitnesses from the Nilamak group. He was on the road between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, and what he captured was terrifying. Cars were abandoned, flames engulfed everything, and people were running for their lives. A massive wildfire has shaken Israel to its core. They never expected destruction on this scale. This isn't just another fire. It's a national emergency, so severe that Israel has begged other countries for help. But what's really happening behind the biggest wildfire in Israel's history? We've compiled the key facts, surprising, shocking, and revealing the harsh reality behind a disaster that even Israel's military couldn't control. This isn't your typical seasonal blaze. This fire has drawn international headlines, and not just because of the damage. Take a look. NBC News reported how the fire shut down major roads and forced countries to send assistance. The Independent ran a headline about Netanyahu declaring a national emergency. CNN International called it the largest wildfire Israel has ever faced. This isn't just a disaster. It's a global spotlight on a country that many accuse of oppression and violence. And now, that country is overwhelmed and out of options. So when did it start? The fire broke out on April 23, 2025. But it didn't stay small for long. Strong winds blowing up to 100 kilometers per hour quickly spread the flames. In just hours, the hills surrounding Jerusalem turned from lush green to a sea of ashes. Tens of thousands of residents were forced to evacuate. Highways, including the major route between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, were shut down due to thick smoke and fast-approaching fire. People abandoned their cars mid-evacuation. Panic took over the streets. The entire scene felt apocalyptic. In response, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared a state of national emergency, calling it the worst fire in Israel's history. Despite deploying their best military and firefighting units, Israel still had to ask the international community for help. Even the United States sent in a supertanker aircraft to drop fire retardant. But here's where things get even more controversial. 18 people were arrested, and according to Netanyahu, they were behind the fires. Yes, Israel accused Palestinians of arson, even though its own fire department said the cause of the fire remains unclear. So how could they blame someone when they don't even know what started the fire? This is something we've seen before. Israel arresting Palestinians without clear evidence. No fair trial, no justice. And yet, they still wonder why there's resistance. Instead of dealing with the disaster, Israel used it as an excuse to target Palestinians once again. But the truth is, this disaster may be partly their own doing. Let's go deeper. Many of the areas that burned were once Palestinian agricultural lands, seized by Israel. In their place, the Israeli state planted European pine forests using funds from the Jewish National Fund. The goal? To green the area and cover up past land grabs. But here's the catch. European pines are extremely flammable. Their dry needles and resin act like fuel. They burn fast and they burn hot. These pine forests are monocultures, meaning there's no biodiversity to slow the fire down. Once it starts, it spreads like wildfire. Literally. So while they didn't start the fire, these man-made forests made it far worse. This is a fact you won't often hear in the mainstream media. And while Israel battled the flames, you'd think they'd pause their military actions, right? Wrong. Even during this crisis, Israel launched airstrikes in Damascus, Syria, near the presidential palace. They've also bombed Lebanon and continued their brutal attacks on Gaza, widely condemned as acts of genocide. So when people say, "Let the fire in Israel burn," they're not cheering for disaster. They're reacting to a country that brings war even in times of its own suffering. This fire could have been a wake-up call, a chance to rethink policies, to understand that you can't keep destroying nature and humanity without consequences. But did Israel learn? Instead of reflection, they pointed fingers. Instead of humility, they dropped bombs. And in the middle of all this, the land they once reshaped to erase Palestinian history is now turning to ash. The very forests they planted to cover their past are now spreading destruction in the present. This is more than just a wildfire. It's a symbol of years of failed policies, of arrogance, of injustice. And maybe, just maybe, it's a sign that no wall, no army, and no propaganda can protect a nation from the forces of nature.